so grateful that you said yes. I did interview you a couple of years back when you were in Denmark. So
yes.
Yeah. And I'm just so grateful because I've been wanting to ask you these questions for 6-7 years. So
okay.
It's
I am ready.
great. So thank you so much. I have started the recording, so I'll just do a short intro and then, because I'm going to read your bio and talk about what you've done. Is there any of the films that you've been part of you don't want mentioned, like Heal and?
I don't, whatever you say is fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Bruce Lipton, for showing up for the Autism Mamas all over the world. I have been so excited because I've been wanting to ask you these questions for years now. And it's not going to be easy to take in, I think, what we're going to talk about, but I feel this is a very important conversation. So I just wanted to say to everyone who's listening that in honor of your work, I know that it works because when my son was diagnosed with infantile autism, the first thing I decided after a bit of a sidetrack was I believe that I can heal my son. And it was against everything that everybody else told me. So I know that was the number one thing that actually turned him around. But let's just say you met me back then. I had just got the diagnosis. I had a son who was completely off the rails mentally, and psychiatrists and friends and everyone said, give up on him. He's only going to get worse. You're going to have to learn to cope with it. This is for life. There's nothing you can do about autism. What would you have said to me back then?
Not to listen to that diagnosis and prognosis. I would tell you that there's a misunderstanding about biology and conventional medicine. It's still locked in the era of genes controlling life, and this is a misunderstanding because genes are blueprints. And I say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, if you go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint and you ask her, is your blueprint on or off? She would look at you like you're crazy. Like, there's no on and off. I go, a gene is a blueprint. There's no on and off. It's controlled by the environment, and our perception of the environment is adjusting our genetics. So the idea that our life is like concrete, genes are going to form your life, and whatever the genes are, that's your life, is completely false. You can change every one of your genes by the environment you live in and your perceptions of life. And I need to add one more thing, because this is always the whole foundation of science. The most valid science on the planet, the one that's been tested the most and verified to be truth, is called quantum physics. And I go, there's more truth in quantum physics than any other science. And physics is the foundational science because physics means mechanisms. So you can say Newtonian physics, Newtonian mechanics, or quantum physics, quantum mechanics, mechanisms. I go, so what's important? Physics is the science of how the universe works. And the first principle of quantum physics is consciousness is creating our life experience. And that if we change our consciousness, we change our life experiences. Now, why I'm emphasizing that is to bring up the fact that we emphasize genes in our biology, and genes do this and genes do that. And that's a completely false assumption. We now know the science of epigenetics is the science of how environment and perception of environment control our genes. So it's now a hard part of biology. And I go, well, that matches exactly what the physics says. You change your consciousness, and in the end, you change your life experiences. So if you get a consciousness that says, hey, there's no hope, nothing you can do, it's all over. I say, well, if you're going to create a life with that, well, what do you think the result is? It's exactly what you just said it was going to be. And so for you, it's a very important, because you're a teacher now, if you understand it, helping people that have gotten prognoses that will never let them get better because they believe in those prognoses, and then they adjust their biology to match that prognosis. So if a doctor says, oh, you have cancer, you're going to die in about 3 months, actually the person who fully believes that will die in about 3 months, because that's what the program was. So it's time for a new program.
I fully support that and agree with it. And what they will say, or what I hear a lot is, well, maybe we can subscribe to that when it's our own disease, our own body, our own system, because the thoughts and the beliefs are in the actual body. But what about the thoughts and beliefs of a parent affecting someone else, like the child? You know, someone would say, but my child is sick, he's screaming, he's lining things up, he's biting, he doesn't want to eat, he does, you know, he cannot have eye contact. How on earth can a parent affect that?
Well, the first thing you have to understand is that a child is generally programmed to observe the parents as the teacher about life. Let's put it this way. The first 7, I'll even back up. Let's go this way. The brain is a computer. We've always talked about the brain as a computer. In fact, it's a supercomputer beyond anything that humans have created. I go, so what about a computer? And I go, if you go to the store and buy a computer and you take it home, you can start it up. It's called booting it up. And that's because it has what's called a startup system. But you buy a brand new computer and you can boot it up and it'll start with it. And you go, well, I can't do anything. I can't draw, write, spreadsheet. I can't do that. I say, why not? I say, oh, you don't have any programs. Oh, so the idea is this. You get a new computer, it comes with a startup system, but you first have to put programs in it so that you can use your brain, because that's the creator part. It's like the keyboard. So I can type on the keyboard and type whatever I want. That's creative, but it has to connect with a program on the inside. And a child is born with very, very few programs, mainly just instincts, actually. And I go, well, why is it relevant? Because as civilization changes, the rules of living in civilization change, and therefore you can't program behavior with genetics, because the behaviors are different for different time periods. I mean, how long ago was it we burned witches and everybody went out at nighttime to the big party to see the witch burn, and that was just a way of life. I mean, you think about it today, it's like, what? I said, yep, so things change.
Yeah.
Well, if things change, then nature says, I can't program your behavior, how you're going to behave, because I don't know, what the future is going to be. A woman has the eggs already in her ovary at the moment she's born. And so that could be 20 years before, or 30, up to 30 years before that egg gets fertilized. And I say, well, what's relevant? I say, you don't know where the world's going to be in 30 years from now. So nature allows the system last minute programming that starts in the last trimester of pregnancy and goes through age 7. And this is a period where children download programs, okay?
Yeah.
Now, so a child is born, its function is already determined. I'll tell you exactly, and this comes into an issue about autism, and that comes this. Within the first week of a child's life, that child can identify the mother and father's face, not just identify the face, but can distinguish a happy face from a scared face.
Wow.
And you go, why is that? And I go, the child is totally dependent on the parents as the guide. And so a child has no idea what's going on in the world. A child will always look at the parent's face to judge what's going on. So I give an example. A child on a playground on a swing set falls off the swing and the parent is sitting on the bench. When the child falls off the swing and lands on the ground, the first thing the child does is look at the mother's face. If the mother's going, in shock, the child will cry. But if the mother looks at the child and says, come on, get up and get back on the swing, the child will get back up on the swing. So the child's behavior was really directed by looking at the face of the mother and the father. So now I say that's built-in mechanism. And then I have to bring up another mechanism thing, and that is this. Biological systems have like a switch, A or B. You can do A or you can do B. And I say, well, what's a switch? Growth and protection. Growth is some behaviors and character. Protections are other behaviors and characters. But you can't do both of them at the same time. Growth, you have to be open to take things in. That's growing, taking things in. But protection is walling yourself off, okay? Protecting. Growth is you go to a stimulus. Protection is you go away from the stimulus. I say, so what's the point? You can't be open and closed at the same time. You can't go forwards and backwards at the same time. You can't be in growth and protection at the same time. So we got that. Now here's the issue. As far as we can tell, a lot of children are coming into this world already a need for protection. I go, what do you mean? I say, look, the average person on the street already knows this thing isn't working right. The world's got problems and it's not working right. And everybody's under some kind of threat of some kind. It's called the biological imperative. It's built into every organism. A bacterium, if you try to kill a bacterium, it's not going to go, oh, okay, kill me. The bacterium will do everything it can to stay alive. So there's a built-in drive to stay alive, but that drive is based on reading the need for protection to stay alive. There's apparently some connection with the sensitivity of a lot of children coming in, that the world is not a very safe place at this time. It's a feeling. Yeah, everyone can feel it. It's a broadcast. The world's vibration is not really that great. So there's a tendency in protection to also shut yourself off. I don't want to see this. I'm not involved. I'm not here. And so we put all these pieces together. A, there's programming. B, one of the programs is look at the face of the parent so you can read where you are. C, whatever the parents are thinking is an energy that can be picked up by a child. A dog as a pet knows if the owner is happy, if the owner is upset, not because of words, but because of vibration.
Yeah.
A baby, when it's tuned in, is tuned into the vibration. So now we have issues. We got a lot of issues on the table here. So let's bring them together. Number one, a child is programmed from the last trimester of pregnancy through age 7 on how to behave and the behavior necessary. Okay. 2, that growth and protection are mutually exclusive. And 3, or C, at this point, is observing the parent's face is a most important mechanism. I mean, people infant is programmed to look at the face of the parent. If they ever come, let's say an infant's crawling on the floor and comes across something new, okay? The first thing that infant will do will look at the parent's face, because if the parent's like, okay, the child sees that whatever that new thing is, that's okay. But if they look and see the parent's face and the parent's going like that, the child will stay away from that thing, whatever it is, whether it's a stairway going downstairs or something dangerous in the room. And parents don't realize that. So that's an unfortunate part about parenting, is that a child always reflects to the parent to determine if they're safe or they're not safe and what's going on in the world. Yeah. Then I say, yeah, but an autistic child comes in and the first thing it does, it won't look at the face of the parent. It has a tendency not to be. And is it connecting with the outside world? Not really. And I go, then what's the issue? It's inside. It's doing what? It's in protection. It doesn't even want to know what the hell's going on outside at this moment. Okay. So the idea is this is a fact of, it's a security issue. Now, where does it come from? Well, it could come from we've been here before. There's a thing called reincarnation in biology. It has to do with energy fields, and so that we've been here before and we come back. So that we have a history before we even got here. And that when we come back in, we're really working through our history. So sometimes it's a previous life experience that really puts a person on the protection when they first come into this planet, okay? Number 2, and this happens, but and please don't get people confused that this is why autism happens, but autism happens if the environment is totally not supportive in the
Yeah.
beginning of that life cycle. So I say, well, like in Europe and what was it, Yugoslavia, Chechnya, that area down there, they were encouraged to have kids, but the economy was, you couldn't afford kids. So there was a problem here. There were more kids, like in Romania. That's where probably the biggest issue was. There were more kids than the parents could afford to take. So a way of life was to put the kids into an orphanage, state run. That's just a way of life. So it was like, oh, can't afford the child. We're going to give it to the orphanage and the state will take care of it. Well, the state provides beds, food, toys, all that. But there's no loving relationship like a mother. That's not there. And I say, what's the result of that? About, I forgot what the percent was, but it was greater than 60%, 70% of the kids in those orphanages express autism. And I go, why? Because they're insecure in their world. Nobody's loving them. Nobody's giving them attention. Nobody's their teacher, nothing, you know, so they hide. So, and an abusive relationship will do exactly the same thing. If a child is abused, it disconnects from the world by what? Going inside. I'm not looking outside. I'm not here. That's what the point is, okay? So, oh, there's the neglect, the abuse, and then I go, but it doesn't have to be that either, you know, because the last one is the one that I started with, and I say, what if these children are so sensitive, which they are, and experience all of a sudden they pop into a world that, you know where we are? We're in the sixth mass extinction of life. We are in an extinction right now, and we're creating it, okay? So I say, what? There's a vibe that the disharmony of the system is leading to extinction, which is what? Loss of everything. So a baby with high sensitivity comes into this world, and the first thing it feels, even though we feel it as adults, like, that's not working right, they feel it much more profoundly. It's like, this is not in harmony with life.
Yeah.
And so there's a world out there. So either they came in with a history in a previous life, they've been neglected, they've been abused, or they're hypersensitive. And in that hypersensitivity, adopt a protection posture, which is the opposite of a growth posture. Growth posture, pay attention and watch everything that's going on. I'm engaged and all that. Protection posture, I'm back here. I can't see you, and I'm not dealing with you. And that is an extension of autism. And so I'm not putting, you know, people want to say, oh, blame somebody. I can't blame anybody. Who knows idea where the heck it came from? So the point is this, outside of the neglect and the violent ones, which are obvious, either they came in with something or they're too sensitive, means what? You have to help them. You have to help them and recognize, what are they doing? They're hiding from the world. And this is a point where it takes the most attention in the world of a parent to provide an energy field of total security around that child. Now, this is a real important part. I could read brain activity by putting wires on your head. It's called the electroencephalograph, EEG. Okay, so I'm reading brain activity inside. So we always think, oh, my brain activity is inside my head. There's a new device called magnetoencephalograph, not electro, MEG. I say, what's relevant? The probe is out here. I go, what does that mean? Wow. Please understand how important this is. I'm reading your brain activity out here. That means your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast into the field. I say, so what? I say a parent who, like you just described, goes to the doctor and gets all this negative prognosis. What do you think the thought processes in that woman is going to be? Obviously, fear, concern, loss, no power, you know, I'm a victim. Well, guess what? The child is connected to the energy field like a pet is connected to the energy field. They read energy before they read words. because energy reading is used by every organism from bacteria to the biggest or smartest organisms there are. We read energy, but most people aren't programmed to use that because it's like a use it or lose it. And at some point you stop paying attention to the energy, then all of a sudden you can't hear it so much, but you can hear the extremes of the energy. One is called good vibes,
Yeah.
vibration. One is called bad vibes, bad vibration. Good vibration is harmony, love, life. Bad vibration is anger and hatred, and it doesn't support life at all. It shuts off life. Okay, so why is it important? The infant reads the energy before it understands the languages. And if the parent's energy is of a very negative vibe because of the loss that they have just been programmed to believe, then they will broadcast this in the holding the baby in their arms. They're still in, where's their consciousness? Well, okay, I have to
Yeah.
add to this part now. I keep adding this before you can add more questions, so I add another part now.
I love it.
Okay. When we talk about consciousness, there's two levels of consciousness. One of them, the latest evolution is right behind your forehead here, is called the prefrontal cortex, and this is where self-consciousness, consciousness as we refer to it, okay, connected to your identity, your spirit, everything, that's you. But 90% of the brain below that was here before that evolution. That below stuff is called subconscious. Sub means below. So whatever behavior is operating from there, it doesn't operate with you paying any attention. You don't pay attention to your heartbeat, your breath, your respiration. You don't pay attention to these things like that. It operates underneath. You don't have to see it, okay?
Yeah.
95% of the day, our life and our consciousness is not coming from our creative consciousness, the one connected to our spirituality, the wishes and desires that a parent has. Oh, I wish my child will be healthy and happy and all that. And I go, well, that's 5% of the day that is being operated on. 95% of the life of an individual, 95% comes from the subconscious. I go, so what the heck does that mean? I say, if you grew up in a conventional family, during your developmental period, I said where the programs go in the first 7 years, most kids grow up in a family where if somebody is sick, they take them to the doctor. So they get an experience even before they're 7 that when somebody's sick, you don't fix it. When somebody's sick, the doctor fixes it. And I say, what's the program? And here's the most critical part. I say, so what's the program? The doctor knows about your health and life, and you don't. You're not. They're the professional. You're not the professional. Well, relevant? Because in the programming, we give their words the power of truth over our belief system. The doctor is the professional. I am not. That's what the subconscious is saying, okay? And then I say, so what does the subconscious hear? Well, this is not going to work, and this is going to be bad, and this is going to happen, and all this negative stuff. I go, your conscious mind with wishes and desires going, oh, no. Subconscious mind's going, oh, okay, yep, okay, because it takes the words as truth. And since it works 95% of the day, you're not operating from the wishes and desires to help your child. You're operating from, my child has no hope.
Yeah.
That is the problem. And you have to change that belief system to take the power back, because if you don't, you have given over power of the life of this child to the words of the doctor. And I go, hey, how much do they really know? Okay, a fact, and I'm not making it up because I let them make it up. Okay. In the Journal of the American Medical Association, it was a survey, and it found that medicine was the third leading cause of death in the United States.
Wow.
Excuse me. The British Medical Journal repeated this study, same result. Medicine is the third leading cause of death. I go, what does that mean? What does it mean? Well, if they're supposed to know how the damn thing works, they're not doing a good job at it. That's what it means. So how much do you want to trust? What my personal belief is simply this: doctors are good at trauma. You have a car accident, you need to be sewn up, you need to set a bone, you need to fix a piece, like a car, pieces, okay? But as far as how things work, they're at a loss. They're still back in the days of genetics, not even epigenetics, most of them. And I go, so they have no understanding really, as conventional doctor, about the new science. And the new science is power. The new science is power for you. The old science is you're a victim. The new science is you're powerful.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. Keep the subconscious belief, buy the words of the doctor, and for 95% of your life, manifest everything that doctor said. Or change the program and get out of that program and take the power back, because it's your consciousness and your environment, things that you control, that control your biology. So we have to take the power back and say, wait, my thoughts are affecting me. I go, your thoughts are the primary thing that affects you. Quantum physics. Quantum physics says consciousness is creating this. And therefore, there's a moment where you're going to say, where is my consciousness? That's what you need to ask. Okay, I'm quiet.
So that will be how to reprogram. So before you talk about how do we actually do that then consciously, what are the consequences of, because there's a lot of moms that then go into who's to blame? Is it the doctors? Is it the vaccine?
No, let's forget the blame. Here's where the problem comes. If you know there's a right way to do something, but you choose not to do it, then I'm going to blame you. But if you don't know the right way, you don't know how to do it, then how can I blame you? Nobody just goes, they don't know. So I can't blame them because they don't know. But the idea is this: as you start to know, you then have to use that knowledge. You can't ignore it. Now, what are we beginning to know? My consciousness is creating my biology, my behavior. My consciousness is broadcast to the field because I can read it out here, okay? And a child's consciousness is supposed to be directly linked to the parent. That's why they learn in the first week to look at the face and know happy from scared. That's how important that is. But if the child's not looking at you, why? Because it's back behind the wall of protection. It's disconnected. And there's the problem. So to go, and I said, well, what's the first problem? I said, well, stop broadcasting all the negative stuff, because you can't get, how can you succeed when your system is saying total failure? You know, and people say, how does thoughts affect us? And then I go, well, here's the most important thing, how thoughts affect us is this: placebo effect. You know, I have an illness and the doctor says, you know, they got the greatest new drug right here in this pill. This is the brand newest research. This is good. You take the pill, you get better, but it's a sugar pill. I say, so then what healed you? Well, obviously not the sugar pill. It was the belief in the sugar pill. And everyone goes, yeah, placebo effect. I go, yeah, it's a positive belief that I'm going to have a positive outcome by taking this pill. And I do. And the pill didn't do it. Okay. And everybody goes, yeah, I know, placebo effect. I go, but what we don't emphasize is that negative thinking is equally powerful, but it works in the opposite direction. With negative thinking, you can create any disease in the world. And with negative thinking, you can die on a date because of a belief. And I say, so negative thinking and positive thinking are equally powerful. Now the question is this: what are you broadcasting? What are your thoughts? How much is positive? How much is negative? And I go back and step up again. There's the conscious part, that's my thinking brain. I can think all the things I want. I go, that's really great. Yeah, but it only is controlling 5%. It's the subconscious program. So I don't care what your conscious thinking is. It's what your subconscious is. So like being a conscious parent. Oh, I'm going to be a conscious parent. What does that mean? I'm going to pay attention and do all the right kinds of things. I go, hey, that's good. That's a conscious belief. So that means 5% of the day you're a conscious parent. And guess what? 95% of the day you are the parent that you got programmed with yourself, because parents learn how to parent by first being parented by their parents. It's a download, first 7 years. How do you get the program? You get it from the environment and from the people around you. So if this is how they treat you as an infant, when you become a parent, it's a program. And 95% of the day, you're going to play that program. And there might be that 5% of light that goes, wait, I'm a conscious parent. I can help my child. I go, great. But if you don't change the 95%, what do you think the child is recording all day? Not that 5% where I'm going to be the best parent. The child watches 95% of the day where you are replicating the same programming that you were raised with yourself.
Okay, because this is intense and so good. So let's say we are that kind of parent who go into the biomedical, the functional medical holistic field, and we are still treating symptoms, still looking for experts to fix a symptom, and we're thinking we're going to treat this child with all these supplements and diets, and I see a lot of moms wasting a lot of money and time with no result. Is that because the consciousness goes to the biomedical field, but the subconscious is working against it?
Absolutely. The conscious has the wish. Oh, the doctor, because they will know. Oh, okay, please help me. And then you're back into whatever the words that doctor said are now truth. That's the issue. You bought as an infant that you're not in charge of your health. The professional is in charge of your health. So you gave up control to take the word of the so-called professional and make that your truth. That's why the prognosis is the worst thing possible. And when I was teaching in the medical school, when you bring up the topic, so why are you giving all this negative stuff? And then they said, well, we don't want to give false hope. And I go, you're not giving any hope. You're just giving the negative downhill bottom fall off. And they, well, we don't want to give false hope. I said, well, you give no hope. That is what the system does. And it does that because we don't want to give false hope. And I go, but you don't recognize your role yourself as a doctor. You don't recognize that this patient, by seeing you, is being programmed by what you just said. And they don't know that. They don't know that.
That is so amazing. So staying a victim, no matter how holistic we are in that victimhood, is going to impair the healing capacity for our child with autism.
If you follow the professional advice, you've already said, I can't do anything, and it's over with. It's not that I can't do anything, but I can also see where the end is coming. That's even worse. There's a picture of that, and that is defeating, because it's like, oh, I can't win. It's, this look at the negative. It's not going to work. And I go, that's subconscious. Conscious still has the hope. Miracle, give me a miracle. I go, no, what you need is better program. And that's the miracle when you put the program in.
So if you were to switch on your program, you or me, you have an autistic child, you want to switch on the healing program. What does that look like? Is there sentences, choices, thoughts?
Every word you say is being because its job is to understand how to behave in the world.
Can you repeat that? Because it broke up. So can you repeat from every word?
Okay. A child has to learn how to be a member of a family and a member of a community. And imagine all the different types of behaviors. I mean, for example, how I talk to my child is not how I talk to the neighbor's child. It's not how I talk to my partner. It's not the way I talk to the neighbor's partner. It's not the way I talk to the policeman. And all of a sudden you start to realize, oh my God, you have to have a whole bunch of different scripts and different behaviors to be fitting in. And I go, well, how do you learn that? You have to learn it as an infant. Well, an infant can't read a book. An infant can't go to school. But nature created the opportunity of download so that the child learns how the mother behaves. And if it's a girl, generally she follows what the mother's program is. The boy follows the father's program. And what are they looking for when they grow up? A partner like the father has for the mother, because that's the connection. It's like, so the programming of your future is starting before age 7, because a child has to now be a member of the community and be a family member and be, you know, in harmony. So everything is recorded. So all the words of the parents are recorded. And the worst thing is for parents to hold an infant in their arms and then talk about the infant with, you know, negative terms and all that. Like the infant's like, oh, well, it's just an infant, doesn't understand what I'm saying. I go, no, that infant is recording every word you just said. And then all of a sudden it says, you can't have people around that infant give negative prognoses and negative talk. The child is recording. And all of a sudden I said, well, then as the parent, it's your responsibility to create an environment that is supportive and loving and disconnected from all the negative environment. Will it work? Well, let's put it this way. If you don't do it, it won't work. That's for sure. No. Will it work? It works for a lot of people, but also based on their, remember, 5% is what they want to create out of the child, and 95% is just playing back the programming they got in their first 7 years, which includes the doctor's prognosis and the belief about it. Their own subconscious belief is, oh my God, my child's lost. You know, that subconscious belief. Conscious mind's like, let me do something. And then you hear, no, there's nothing you can do. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's gone now too. So
so what kind of routine would you come up with? So what would you say and do at what time of day to reprogram for
okay. You and your child are in continuous bond, okay? And in fact, very interestingly, in your body are your child's stem cells right now. When a woman is carrying a child, the stem cells of the baby, many of them penetrate into the maternal system and are kept there. And you go, why? Well, the thing is this, you and your child are now connected. Why? Because on the surface of your cells, there are antennas called self-receptors, just like little television antennas. There's a code, like a combination lock code. No two people have the same set of antennas. The antennas are on the outside of the cell. They're called self-receptors, okay? And so this is where your energy, spirit, field, consciousness is coming into the cells. It's not in the cells, it comes into the cells. Your identity is out here playing into the cells. I go, so why is that important? A simple experiment. Take some of your cells, they've done this, move it 100 miles away, put it in a petri dish, and then have you on a split screen, you on half of the screen, and the electrical readout of the cells 100 miles away on the other half of the screen. And they showed that if you go through an emotional response, the cells 100 miles away instantly have excited electrical activity at the same time.
Wow.
And the reason is why? Because your cells have your antennas. It's like a television set with an antenna. Your body is essentially a television receiving a broadcast, okay? But your cells are all tuned into the broadcast. So if I move your cells somewhere else, like a bunch of your cells, they still have the antennas, and your broadcast is wherever it's all over. So it's not, you know, so my cells are reading, I'm reading, and if I have an interaction, my cells experience it because they have the antennas, okay? So I say, so why is that relevant? Because a mother has the stem cells of her child, which is like the culture dish that the mother is holding these cells in. I say, so why? The child can be on the other side of the world and have an accident, and the mother will know right at that moment something went wrong, because there's a bond that connects the mother and the child. And part of it is because you are holding your child's cells in your body. And if your child's upset, you will have an intuitive feeling that, oh, something's wrong. I go, that's
Wow.
actually a direct communication. Okay. So this field becomes important. This whole connection becomes important, that you are connected. And the function is to create a safe field. Now, one of the reports that I saw that was really cool was infants, really young infants, like and the story was of a woman who was raising an autistic infant and was trying to feed it with a bottle. And of course, the infant does not look at the face of the parents, doesn't look at anybody's face. It's, I'm not seeing this. That's what the infant, I'm not seeing this. What the woman did was program that infant by, she would put the bottle in the baby's mouth when the baby was looking at her. But the moment the baby looked away, she pulled the bottle out.
Ah.
And then the baby would start to look, she put the bottle back in. In a very short time, the baby got the idea, if I want the bottle, I got to look at the eyes. And that was what opened up the child to look in the face and pay attention for the first time of what's going on. So that's one of the things for an early child that's really important. But in a later child, you have to start in saying, like, this is like a prisoner of war who's been in a camp and now he's released and he's all screwed up being in that camp. What do you want to do? You want to provide security and comfort, even if there's a rejection at some level of it. Why? Because if you give up, then now the game's over anyway at that point. The idea is you really just, and it's a thought field too. That's the most important thought field. Talking to the child is because the child will record the words. A thought field is having the impression of what you want to say without using the words. So some people can have a very negative thought field and use very positive words. That's a disconnection. They're different messages. So you have to have your thoughts as a parent, okay, saying, I understand my child has been through this stuff, and they're really hiding because of their sensitivity, and therefore I will try to, you know, create a field of love and harmony. But that means you must change that subconscious belief that the doctor's truth, because then 95% of the day, as I said, the conscious mind can say, yes, I'm creating the most loving, wonderful environment. Oh, look how wonderful and healthy. I say, that's when you're paying attention 5% of the day. 95% of the day, whatever the program you got is exactly how you're going to raise that child, because it's unconscious. It just happens. You don't think about it. You just do it. And so this is the biggest issue. So,
and so that environment, the petri dish, of course, logically is also healthy food and clean environment. What happens if your vibrational environment is focused on GMO, all the problems, 5G, danger, pesticides, while you're trying to be healthy and heal your child?
Why are we going extinct? This is why we're going extinct. Those things. And the idea is, when will we not go extinct? When we start to come back to natural way of life. And the idea is this electronics is really bad for a child because it interferes with the developing brain. That the food is, you make culture medium for the cells. Blood is culture medium. I say healthy blood has healthy nutrition. If you eat garbage food, then you know, altered that nutrition. When I make laboratory, I grow cells in what is called culture medium. And I say, what is culture medium? That's the laboratory version of blood. I make an environment like blood in which the cells grow. If I compromise any of the ingredients of that, after feeding them, I can watch in the microscope. Within minutes, they start to get sick. And the idea is, you know, I joke in the class, I say, I don't buy my ingredients at Kmart. You know, I buy the best ingredients. Why? I'm creating a healthy environment. If I put in, look, farmers in many of these industrial farm places, they have to wear hazard suits when they spray the crops. I said, what do you mean? They're spraying stuff on the crops. I go, yeah. Well, why are they wearing hazardous suits? Because the spray is toxic. I go, yeah, but
Yeah.
where's it going? On the crops. Who the hell is going to eat the crops? It's on the crops. And the idea is we have to go back to natural, organic, healthy food. Why? You are creating an internal environment, and for yourself, and if you're nursing a child, your environment is being passed on to their environment. So these are really critical times. And it says, what are you trying to create? Health? Oh, well, there are healthy things to do. Guess what? And there are unhealthy things to be around. And
Yeah.
therefore, you start to pay attention. That's really, you know, mothering.
Yes.
It's looking at all aspects. It's interesting because in farming, we've all been programmed to believe, oh, organic farming. I go, why is that? Well, it's really good because the chemistry they put in the dirt and all that is natural, organic, healthy food chemistry. And I go, great. But there's another kind of farming called biodynamic farming. This is the more
Yeah.
best form of farming. I say, why is it relevant? Well, it's not just what chemicals they put into the earth, it's what's in the environment, and the
Yeah.
bees and the birds and the consciousness of the farmer and the consciousness of the people that work on the
Mm-hmm.
all part of creating a harmony called biodynamic. If we would apply that to children, then we'd have, you know, they'd have a better world for themselves. Being biodynamic, don't just feed them the good chemistry, but you have to feed them the good energy in the field and the environment that they live in. That is what we are we read the environment. That's what we do. And if your environment is not any good, then how are you going to get healthy? You can't, really. But then
Exactly.
there's consciousness will override everything. But if our consciousness is, as I said, only 5% being that consciousness that we really want to have, and 95% being that other program. So,
Yeah.
you know, the idea is this. Let me just throw some, for the adults in the room, let me throw a piece of information in. You got programmed from the last trimester of pregnancy through age 7 when the brain was operating at a vibration, EEG vibration, lower than consciousness. It was called theta. Theta is hypnosis. That's why a child from last trimester to age 7 is just downloading, because their brain is operating in a state called hypnosis. It's recording all this stuff here, okay? And so you got programmed. I say, so when did you get programmed? Well, you were programmed before you were born. You were programmed at 0, 1, 2. So I say, oh, Ninka, tell me, what program did you get when you were 0? Oh, you probably don't remember that one. Okay, what program did you get when you were 1? Yeah, you probably don't know that one either. And the most important programs are the first ones that come in. So I
Yeah.
say, let me just offer a little help for those, because we've all been programmed. I say, well, how can I know what the program is? And the answer is this. Well, first of all, the subconscious mind doesn't have an entity in it, meaning you are an entity in the conscious mind. You're like the control person in the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is just a record playback machine. There's nobody in it. So talking to yourself like you're going to change your subconscious, like, well, there's nobody in there. So that's not really the best way of doing it. But then, you know, so the idea is that we have to know what are those programs to some degree. And I go, well, here's the interesting part. 95% of your life is coming from your program. Point. Look at your life. Whatever comes into your life that you like, and it comes into your life, it comes in because you have a program to acknowledge that. But, and here's the big but, and it's this: whatever you wish for, desire, want in your life, and you have to work hard for it, and you struggle over it, and you put a lot of effort into making it happen, you're sweating real hard, you're working. Why are you working so hard? The answer is inevitably, whatever you're trying to seek, that program that you have doesn't support that, and you're trying to override a program. That's why you have to work hard. So all of a sudden it says you can look at your program, but you have to recognize this: the child that you are taking care of for the universe, that child is recording everything, the vibrations, the words, the behaviors of the parents, siblings, and the community. And that an autistic child, as I said, you're already finding resistance. Why? Because it doesn't have a concept of safety in its world. Whether it's reading, oh my God, life is being threatened on this planet. The answer is yes, it sure is. But even though people are just beginning to read about it now, I've been talking about it for over 12 years. That science has been saying saying for 12 years. Oh, finally they're talking about it. Well, because now it's closer than it was before.
Yeah.
And so that's all it would take. Also, is just a child's sensitive, comes into the world. The first thing feels like, oh my God, it's not safe here. What's the first thing to do? Protection. What's protection? Go inside. Don't deal with the outside.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You know, the last thing I want to ask you, Bruce, is I heard you talk about the accumulating effect of beliefs, so that the more people believe in the same thing, connecting will enhance the effect of the belief. So what does that mean for women who choose to hook up with other moms who feel like victims, who are protesting against vaccine industries and just in this fear, fight, anger state? What does that mean for the healing?
Well, the first thing is, as I said, remember I said that I can put a probe outside and read your head. So it's like a tuning fork, as a vibration, okay? The more people that have the same vibration, the more power the vibration has. If one person has a thought that says, let's change this, and nobody else has that thought, it's probably not going to change anything. But the more people that agree about something, the more they're amplifying the same signal. Each one is like a battery for that vibration. And the more people that add up, their batteries have lots of power to them, okay? So the more people that come together in a community to support a belief issue, the more powerful that influence it will have on the world around it. But then I have to just go back and then remind you again, I might join your meeting because my conscious wish and desire is for my child to have the healthy benefit of what this meeting is all about. But I might join stupid programming that's not going to let me get through that. I join the meeting, I get awareness. I can educate the conscious mind. Super. Go read a book, go to a lecture, you watch a video. Man, that pops a lot of conscious information. But if it only works 5% of the day, then it's not very useful. No. To make it useful, it has to be part of the subconscious programming. So bringing people together is useful because it'll educate their conscious mind. But if they come together and recognize also, can I change my subconscious mind? Then all of a sudden you open up the door for an evolution.
That is so beautiful. So just to sum it up, I just want to make sure I understood everything correctly before we just hand over the responsibility to really nurture good energy, because that's all we can do to counter this whole extinction feeling. So first of all, our vibration will heal the child. Whether we believe it's possible to turn autism around or not, that will actually be our reality.
No, you just emphasize the thing, whether you believe it or not. If your subconscious belief says this will not happen, and your conscious belief says it will happen, now it's just a matter of mathematics. The subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful a computer and operates 95% of the day compared to a very small computer conscious mind working 5% of the day. So your belief is real important. Your conscious and your beliefs are now separate in the sense that your beliefs are the programs. Your conscious is the creative nature. So I can go to the meeting and go, oh, this is great. This is going to be helpful. And then walk out the door and immediately go back into the same person I was before I walked into the meeting. If I didn't change the subconscious program. I mean, listen, I came across this whole new insight about epigenetics and all that, and consciousness and evolution and all that stuff like that. And it was like a science conscious mind. I had it in here, and I would gather some people together and I'd say, let me tell you about this science, because if you understand this science, you can have the most wonderful life on this planet. And in those first programs, they would look at me and go, you know, Lipton, your life doesn't look that good for a guy who says you know this stuff. And that was like, oh my God, that was my wake up call. What was it? My conscious mind had all the awareness of how to create this most wonderful life. And my subconscious was still programmed from before I had that knowledge. And so
Yeah,
what was the point? I could talk the knowledge, but I wasn't walking the talk. I had to
that,
go back and change the program to create the life that I want. So,
yeah,
you know, in conclusion here, conscious mind can tell you where you want to go, but if your subconscious, you need your subconscious mind to drive you there. And so if the subconscious mind's
yes,
not following the same directions, you're not going to the place you want to go. That's basically what happens.
yes. So we need a practice. We need to surround ourselves with people who have that type of belief system and practices. We need to create not only a healthy environment, but a healthy vibration to change our children. And
Yes.
I want to really, really thank you for this amazing work that you're doing, because it's so important for, especially for the people who think, well, this is an exception because this is a neurological genetic disorder, nothing we can do about it. So
We
that
can do.
is so important.
It's really wonderful. There's a young, I guess she's coming on to womany now. I don't know what age that is, but it was a young girl who I met when she was about 6, and she was diagnosed autistic, and she had trouble, but her mother did not follow that. Her mother just did what we're talking about, created this environment. This child is now at 10 or 11, 12, maybe. As a leader, she created an organization for young people to help the environment. And as
Wow.
a speaker, she's a lecturer and can take an audience. I've seen her in a room with 1,500 people, grab them with her talk
Wow.
and her life. And she was diagnosed autistic, boom. But her
Mhm.
mother did not buy into that story. And now this young woman is a leader that talks in front of big audiences. And here it's like, well, that is a turnaround from autism, isn't it?
That is the best hope to end this conversation, this line of hope. So thank you so much for that. Bruce, where can people find you and learn about this theta state and meditations and
Oh, yeah.
programming?
A simple website, brucelipton.com. Lots of free information, videos, audios, written work, all downloadable, different topics you can search for, massive library of videos and lecture stuff. So
Yeah.
it's freely available. So please, brucelipton.com.
And I can recommend going on YouTube and have a daily doses just by putting your name in and just listen to these short videos, because it just keeps you on your feet when you
I,
get hypnotized back into the
I appreciate. We do a monthly newsletter which is free, which you can sign up for on the website. And we like to make a video each month, a short one, about 5-minute video with some point and frequently totally in fun and humor. So
yeah,
I like it
yeah,
when people watch the newsletter, because if you laugh, it's a good thing.
exactly. Thank you for raising vibration and consciousness and the humor levels on this planet, Bruce. And thank you for joining.
I am so honored to be here with you and your audience, because your audience are the people that can make a difference for our evolution fully, when they understand the nature that their programming has taken their power away, and you can reprogram and have all that power back again. We are creators, each one of us.
We're creators, was that what you said? We are creators? Yeah.
Each one of us is a creator. We're creating our life with our consciousness. And so therefore we can have heaven on earth, which I've been living for 20 years now, because I changed all those programs that said it wasn't heaven on earth. It is now.
Yeah. And thank you for that, and amen to that. Thank you so much, Bruce Lipton.
Thank you so much for letting me be with you. So appreciate it.
Me too. Thank you. So grateful. Bye.
Bye.